The 0-2. Dribbled slowly in front of the plate. Trevino out, fires in time, and that is the ball game. Yankees win it, 11-5 the final, and the Bombers have secured yet another series victory.
It's been a tough start for the Royals in this series against the Yankees as they have lost all three of the first three games here. It's a 4-game set that will actually end this afternoon at 1:10. The Yankees, as you heard there, an 11-5 victory over the Royals on Wednesday night to take their third straight from Kansas City. Welcome in on the Sports Ticket here on Katy Country 94. It's brought to you by Cuba Brothers Automotive in Beloit. They're your home team for fast and friendly auto repair there south of the courthouse in Beloit. You can check them out at CubaBrothers.com as well online. Again, the Yankees winning over the Royals. We'll have more on that here just momentarily. We'll look at the NBA Finals. Game 3 was Wednesday night, and the Celtics and Mavericks. It was kind of a wild game of a couple big runs for each team, and we'll talk about that. NHL Stanley Cup Finals continuing tonight. An NBA legend has passed away, and the U.S. Open's underway today in golf. So we'll touch upon all of that here on the Sports Ticket. Again, brought to you by Cuba Brothers Automotive in Beloit. The Royals losing last night 11-5 to the Yankees. Spotting them 6 runs. Listen, I'll get to this here momentarily, but the Yankees took a 6-0 lead. Royals starting pitcher was Dan Altavilla, and I'll tell you a little bit more about him coming up too, but he did not make it out of the first inning. I think it might have been even the plan anyway to have Altavilla kind of be an opener and then Daniel Lynch come in as the long relief, and that happened way quicker than it would have, even if it was or wasn't the original plan for the Royals. Altavilla his line ends up being 5 earned runs on 3 hits and 2 walks and 1/3 of an inning. He is 0-1 on the season. He had come in for 1 game of relief so far this year for the Royals, and he is that was his first ever start in his career, so he's not a starting pitcher. They needed a spot start because there's some injuries within the rotation right now with Michael Wacha. And so, yeah, we'll tell you a little bit more about Altavilla and about the Royals and their slow starts and things of that nature. Again, the Yankees got 6 in the first inning. Daniel Lynch came in and ended up giving up the 6th run, and then 5 more. Yankees scored 2 in the 5th, another 3 in the 7th for the 11-5 victory. All the Royals runs came in the 6th and 7th, 2 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. The highlight of the day offensively was Bobby Witt Jr. with 3 hits. He went 3 for 5 and had 2 RBI, 2 runs scored. Nelson Velasquez and Vinny Pasquantino each drove in a run as well for the Royals. Bobby Witt Jr.'s average is now up to 326. OBP 375. Slugging is 563. I don't have OPS right in front of me for Bobby Witt Jr., but he leads the American League in quite a few categories here, and he's definitely been a leader for this Royals squad that's now 39-30 with that loss yesterday. The Yankees moving to 49-21 with the win. Let's see if they have OPS anywhere for Bobby Witt Jr. I'm looking at his season stats, and I don't see anything at the moment. I have to go to a different website to find that. But anyway, Bobby Witt Jr. has been outstanding, and he was really the big and lone bright spot offensively last night for the Royals. They did score 5 runs. I mean, he drove in 2 and scored 2, so other people obviously had something to do with that. But Bobby Witt Jr. is definitely currently an MVP candidate in the American League, and rightfully so, helping lead this Royals team. Again, they're 39-30, having lost 3 straight to the Yankees. Again, getting down 6-0 is never fun. And the Royals had kind of a penchant for getting down early in games. As far as last night's game is concerned, here's Matt Quatraro on the first inning that the Yankees put up 6 in. The Royals manager speaks about it.
That's really tough. A couple runs, that's one thing. Big innings are tough to come back from regardless. I mean, we've done it. We worked hard to try to get back in it tonight as well and made it somewhat interesting there and had some guys on base, but just couldn't come through with the big hit a couple times. But yeah, we don't want to be down at all, but 6 is really tough to chase, especially against a team like that.
Yeah, 6 is tough to chase. 7 was tough to chase last Friday against the Mariners. I'm going to talk about that here momentarily. But Dan Altavilla making the start here for the Royals. Again, it was his first ever start. He has made in his career 121 appearances now. He's pitched 121 games, and only one of them was a start. That was yesterday. His career record is 8-8. His season that he had the most appearances was in 2017 out of the bullpen for Seattle, as he went 1-1 and had a 4.24 ERA. Altavia was just recently called up for the Royals. Again, it's a spot start and probably spot opener for the Royals there, as Daniel Lynch had to come in, and he pitched 6 2/3 and it just bit the bullet there for the Royals. You're down 6-0 against an offense like the Yankees. It's a little bit tougher to recover from that and come back, and especially when you're going to give up 5 more runs and spot them 11 for the game. So, Dan Altavia, I don't think is going to be a mainstay with the Royals pitching staff, whether it's as a starter or as a reliever. They needed a spot there, and they got it. Angel Serpa came in and pitched the 8th inning. John Schreiber finished out the 9th. Those two combined for 2 innings, allowing just 1 hit. But obviously the damage had already been done there for the Royals, as they lose 11-5. I'm trying to remember the last time the Royals didn't get down early in a game. So they were down 6-0, and then at one point, let me pull this up on the box score or the game cast here. So at one point it was 8-0 in the 5th before the Royals actually got on the board, made it 8-2, but then boom, another 3 runs in the 7th on a 3-run homer from Gleyber Torres, and that put up the Yankees up 11-2, and really in all essence, into the game. So you're down 8-0 at one point on Wednesday. On Tuesday against the Yankees, it was another game where the Yankees took the early lead, and they had in that game a 10-0 lead through 7 innings. They got 2 in the first, and they were up 6-0 by the 4th. So that's another game where the Yankees got out to the early lead and never looked back. And honestly, in the first game of this series, the Yankees got the early lead. They scored 2 right away in the first. They had 2 in the 4th. The Royals were down 4-0. They got their runs in the 7th and 8th and lost 4-2. A trend right now for the Royals is not good. On Sunday against the Mariners, they actually tied the game at 1 in the 5th, so that was the last time they weren't down big early in a game. The Mariners did score 2 runs in the 7th, and it was actually a lead for the Royals. Or no, it was actually a 3-3 tie going into the 10th. Or the Royals came back. That's the day, Sunday, that they came back to tie it in the 9th, and then the Mariners got 3 runs there in the 10th inning and ended up getting the win. So that was that game, and then there was actually one game there Saturday that the Royals actually got out to an early lead and held on to it and won 8-4. But the night before that was when they were down 8-0 at one point, 7-0 before they even came to the plate, and then came back to win 10-9. So you're looking at this Royals team, and over the last week or so, they've been getting down early in games, and some of those have been big deficits. You're not going to come back from an 8-0 deficit very often like they did against the Mariners last Friday. It's just not something that's going to happen. So I think that is an issue right now with this Royals team is starts and starting pitchers giving up a lot of runs, and it's not just the back end of the bullpen right now. Seth Lugo's had 2 starts in a row that have not been great for the Royals. We documented that earlier this week. Brady Singer had a bad start here against the Yankees as well, and continues to struggle, and I think developing a third pitch that's consistent and being consistent on the mound for Kansas City. The top end of Brady Singer is honestly could be elite. He's got great stuff, and when he's on, but he just doesn't have a consistent third pitch, a consistency going to the mound as a starter with this Royal squad. So, I liked a lot of what he had like it was 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was a no-hitter through 7 innings. And just showed that ability to really have stuff that could shut teams down. And it's never really, I don't think, come all the way back since he did the World Baseball Classic thing last spring, the spring of 2023. And kind of came in late to training with the Royals and got off to a bit of a slow start last year. Brady Singer's still a great starter. if you put his numbers up against a lot of the Royal starters here the recent past, they're going to look way better than most of them. But it's just one of those deals where Brady Singer looks like maybe he could be your ace, your number one guy. Right now he's at best number two. Seth Lugo would be considered the ace on this staff right now, but again, over the last 2 games he's struggled. So my point is here, you're doing this against teams that are getting out to big leads, and it's not just those back-end guys that typically the Royals don't have enough arms to fill out, a 5-person rotation that's going to give you, dominance for 3 or 4 of those nights and then just serviceable like a Jeremy Guthrie type for the 5th night, right? You're not seeing that with the Royals here recently, and it's not the case this year because of injuries with Michael Walker, like we mentioned. It's going to be interesting to see if they can recover from these types of games, because one thing that I talked about, and I've been talking about this since I saw it coming on the horizon, was the schedule that the Royals are playing right now. And this is, at the moment, the toughest stretch of the Royals schedule. And it's not particularly close. The Yankees are now 49-21, and when you look at their squad, obviously they've got a very good team. At 49-21, and they're scoring a lot of runs. Their run differential is plus 128, which I believe is the best in baseball. By far, it's the best in baseball. And when you're winning games 10-1 and 11-5, like the last 2 nights, that's going to help boost that run differential. They are plus 128. The next closest team to them is actually also in their division at plus 110, and that's the Baltimore Orioles, who are just 2.5 games behind the Yankees at 45-22. So, again, we're talking about, that's why I said, if you're getting down 6-0 in the first inning, 8-0, 10-0 like you did the other night through 7 innings on Tuesday, the Yankees aren't a team that you want to be doing that against. Again, a plus 128 run differential. They've got pitching, they've got hitting. Their offense is obviously doing very, very well. They're 27-11 on the road. They've won 8 of their last 10. Have the Yankees, and they've scored the most runs, I believe, as well. Let me double check that. See where they're at, 356. Yeah, by far. And I say by far, they're actually only 8 runs ahead of the Dodgers, who are in second place, 348 runs. But in the American League, there's nobody particularly close. The Royals actually have the second most runs in the American League at 337, and they're 19 behind the Yankees here as far as runs scored are concerned. The Royals is now just 59, plus 59 on run differential. So, again, you're seeing a lot of these big games offensively from opponents against the Royals, and that's something that'll need to be fixed and figured out for Kansas City because, like I said, they are a team that is going through a very, very tough stretch right now. They did a very nice job of scratching out a win against the Guardians to finish that series in Cleveland last week, midweek, and then they came back to win over the Mariners on Friday. They won on Saturday over Seattle, but they've lost 4 in a row since then, and this series has not been particularly close. The Royals have scored 8 runs at the 3 games combined, but they've given up 25. So New York's outscored the Royals 25-8 in this series. And, again, the schedule does not get easier for the Royals as you continue on through the month of June here as, again, they have one more game with the Yankees. That's this afternoon at 1:10. First pitch at Kauffman Stadium there. And going for the Royals is Alec Marsh. He's 5-3 with a 4.05 ERA this year. He's pitched 60 innings. And then he'll take on Nestor Cortez, who is 3-5 with a 3.68 ERA for the Yankees. Again, a 1:10 first pitch today at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. We talked about the team that's the next closest to the Yankees as far as runs scored, and that's the Dodgers. That's the next opponent for the Royals. They go out west to start a 6-game road trip there, and the Dodgers are 42-27. That's not going to be anything easy for the Royals to take on in that 3-game series there. And then things will slow down a bit. They go to Oakland, who is 26-44, and then they'll come back. When they come back, they're actually on a 10-game road trip, but they'll come back to the Southwest, I guess, to take on Texas there in Arlington. The Rangers are 32-35, so they do have a couple series coming up against some losing teams. But this stretch that I was talking about, was the Twins starting on May 27th, because the Twins were on a roll at that point in time, and then the Padres, and then the Guardians, and then the Mariners, and then the Yankees, and now the Dodgers. It's a very, very tough stretch the Royals are in right now. They'll come out of it with 3 games here against the Dodgers in L.A. at Dodger Stadium. They've got Cole Reagan, Seth Lugo, and Brady Singer set to take them out, and if they can return to maybe some of the success that they've had over the last couple seasons with the Royals when they're zoned in and on target, then the Royals do have a chance to take maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 of these games in Los Angeles if they can get things turned around. But they're going to be going up against another very good offense coming up here in this 3-game series in L.A. This weekend. So again, when you listen to me doing this show, I've been saying this is on the horizon for the Royals. This tough stretch of their schedule in June, and it'll hold up a little bit. It'll pull back a little bit beginning of next week, Tuesday through Thursday, with that 3-game series with the A's. And that's one thing the Royals have done this year, is they've really done a nice job of winning series. You're not going to win every game. Nobody's going to go 162-0, but you're winning series when you're supposed to win series, right? When you're supposed to beat, like the A's, who are a definitely inferior opponent. They swept them earlier this year in mid-May. They swept the Tigers. They had that stretch where they won 8 games in a row, and including a couple wins at the Rays there in Tampa Bay, who have a losing record. So, when they're playing teams with losing records and teams that they probably should be at least winning the series against, they've typically done that this year. So that's one encouraging thing about the Royals, is if you get through this stretch of tough games here, you'd like to at least see them come out and be competitive today against the Yankees, because they've not been in the last 2 games. So that's what I want to see today, is as you're on the getaway, be focused today. Get this out of the way, get a win here, get away to L.A. and have a good weekend series with the Dodgers, and you can change kind of the narrative back to what it was of the Royals. The boys are playing some ball, right? That's what Bobby Witt Jr.'s slogan and term is, and that's what you want to see with this team. So, again, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be downs during the season, and right now the Royals are on a down with 4 straight losses. They had won 3 in a row right before that, so they still are 39-30. Again, 1:10 first pitch this afternoon between the Royals and Yankees at Kauffman Stadium. Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94 is brought to you by Keever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will update on the NBA Finals, a recap of Game 3 from last night, and look forward to Game 4. Also, an NBA legend has passed away. We look at the Stanley Cup Finals and PGA, PGA, I guess I should say just golf, right? Major golf tournament beginning today with the U.S. Open. It's all coming up after the break here on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94.
I'm Elijah at Keever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. When your vehicle has a problem or needs maintenance, Keever Brothers is your home for fast, friendly auto repair. Whether you need tires, brakes, batteries, belts, hoses, air conditioning, a transmission, engine, or just an oil change, there's only one thing you need to remember. We fix everything. Keever Brothers Automotive delivers fast, friendly auto repair, and we fix everything. Find us just south of the courthouse in Beloit and online at KeeverBrothers.com.
And that's going to do it. The Boston Celtics are 1 win away from an NBA title. They hold off a furious comeback attempt and now have a 3-0 lead here in these NBA Finals.
The Celtics, man, last night was probably the most interesting game of the series as far as some runs that happened. And, Game 2, Dallas wasn't out of it ever, really. Last night, the Mavericks made a furious comeback toward the end of the game and tried to win it. But in the end, the Celtics win 106-99, the final score, as they move on and take a 3-0 lead here in this series. And that's spells disaster and danger, really, for the Mavericks. This game was interesting to watch. I had a couple things I was doing, so I actually picked it up a little bit late after the tip-off. But as I'm watching it, the Kristaps Porzingis was out. We talked about him yesterday and the injury that he does have, and so that's kind of thwarted a little bit of what we saw in the first 2 games, right? Kristaps Porzingis having a really good start to the finals here, especially in Game 1. But came down with that injury against the Mavs in Game 2, and it was just that weird torn medial retinaculum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg, and that happened that was diagnosed Tuesday afternoon, and the team called the injury very rare on its release, and so they didn't rule him out right away, but you could see they showed some video of him trying to work out on the exercise bike and loosen it up and see what would happen, and he could not go last night. Porzingis had an outstanding game one again of the NBA Finals, and was just they were plus 25 in the 44 minutes that he was on the court over the first two games, even in the 52 minutes that he was on the bench. So that shows that they don't need him out there, that they can play without him. But it was a tough break there for Boston after what Porzingis had done in the first couple games, and again specifically in game one, feeling fresh, getting out there and scoring over 20 and altering a lot of different shots and just kind of changing the game when he was on the inside in the post on defense and just. With his size and his ability to shoot the outside shot, even from three-point land, can stretch the floor so much. He's really a more athletic Nikola Jokic. I'm not saying he's as good as Nikola Jokic, but just think about that size of a guy. But maybe even a little, not maybe, he is trimmer than and slimmer than Nikola Jokic and can move a little bit better. It's just Nikola Jokic moves very, very well, really, for his size, but he just doesn't look like an NBA player if you just or a guy that's going to be two-time MVP and dominate like he does at times. His team is out. They won the finals last year, but again, no Kristaps Porzingis. So you're going into that game thinking, oh, well, maybe there's something to this, and maybe they'll be able to get something done, the Mavericks. And it looked good early. They were up 22-9, 25-12. Kyrie Irving looked pretty good early. Derek Lively came off the bench and did some really good things throughout the game as well. He ended up with a double-double. And it opens up the middle for the Mavericks without Kristaps Porzingis being out there. Daniel Gafford actually had a fairly good game and a good start. Only had 6 points, but he was efficient and effective on the inside because they're just, with Porzingis not coming in when he would, he doesn't start, but when he would come in for Al Horford at any point there, it was a really good start for the Mavericks. They were up 25-12, and you were thinking, oh, well, Dallas, here we go. This is their chance to keep this series just the way it is, right? Keep the home teams in focus and get the wins on your home floor and keep rolling. But that's not what happened at all. Boston actually started making some stops defensively in that first quarter. They went on it was 25-12. They went on a 10-0 run. Actually, 11-0 run to cut the lead to 25-23, and then it was on. It was a back-and-forth game. Dallas led 51-50 at halftime. And then it was Boston that started making that run in the third quarter. They made a big run to start the third. They outscored the Mavericks 35-19 in the third quarter. They expanded upon that lead, and they were up by 21 at 91-70 in the fourth quarter. And I think everybody in the building was kind of dejected. You could tell the players were affected by it for the Mavericks being down by 21. But what does it take in the NBA? It doesn't take a lot. You can come back quick if you stay focused or refocus. In the case of the Mavericks here in that fourth quarter, they refocused. They played very well on the defensive end of the floor. They got some couple key turnovers and some misses by the Celtics from three-point land. Boston's a team that no matter what, if they're missing early from three-point land, they're going to keep firing three-pointers. And there's a stretch of the game in every game where Boston's going to miss some three-pointers and you're going to have a chance to make a run. And that's what Dallas did. They went on a 22-2 run when they were down 91-70. Came back to make it a game again. 93-92 was the score at one point with 3.5 left. But the Celtics were able to finish things off. They made a couple stops on their side of their end of the defensive end of the floor, and were able to keep that lead and never give it up, even though Dallas did get within one. The Celtics never did give up the lead, and they held on for the 106-99 win over the Mavericks in the end. It was a great night for Jason Tatum. He was very hot early, had at least 20 in the first half. Made 4 3-pointers, finished with 31. Jaylen Brown continues to play very well. He had 30. Derek White was 4 for 9 from three-point land, had 16 points. As I mentioned, Boston's going to fire no matter what. They had 46 three-point attempts, and they made 17 last night, compared to just 9 of 25 for the Mavericks from three-point land. And Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic continue to have to do pretty much everything for this team. Kyrie had struggled a little bit in Boston, really came out intent and focused in Game 3 here and finished with 35 points. Doncic had 27 points in 38 minutes, but he did foul out of the game. It's like he was complaining, or he wasn't complaining. He was asked by the media as a obviously a bait question to get him to complain or to get him to say something. I'm going to say a bait question. You probably got to ask the question, right? How do you feel about the foul calls when he fouled out? Because he was visibly upset with the sixth foul, which was a foul. He was out of position, and I think it was Tatum that took advantage of it and pushed the issue. And Luka didn't move his feet. He got caught in a blocking position and got called for the foul. It was the right call. They actually reviewed it because it was challenged and still called it a foul because he didn't move and get himself set in the right position defensively. So it's for lack of a better word, it sucks for the Mavericks, but it is what it is. It was a foul, and it was a sixth, and he was complaining, saying, "Oh, if I'm getting fouls and I'm just standing there, you're not really just that's actually you probably are just standing there, and that's part of your problem. You're not set in a certain position, and you're not moving with the offensive player." And listen, I'm not one to talk because I was terrible at defense, but I also wouldn't complain about the fouls that got called on me because I wasn't moving my feet. Usually when I fouled, I knew I fouled. Because I had two left feet sometimes on defense and I couldn't move. I was not a good sliding and in position defender on the perimeter. I'll tell you that right now. I could run a baseline though, on a 1-3-1 and try to get in your face. But man, you're putting it on the dribble on me in the open court. I was not great, but these are the best of the best in the world. And so when you're complaining about it, see how you're set on defense and get yourself set, and then you wouldn't be called for your sixth foul and foul out with like 3-some minutes left. That's just my take on it. Or don't foul earlier in the game and get yourself in a position to foul out. This is the first time Luka Doncic has ever fouled out in a playoff game, is if I remember Mike Breen saying that right last night. That's not right in front of me, so you can fact check me if you want and text me if I'm wrong, but I don't have time to look it up. But Luka did foul out. He had 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and there it is again. Those two guys are combining to score most of your points. So it's what it is right now. 62 of the 99 points came from Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And if other players can't step up, and listen, I'll tell you, part of that is that Kyrie and Luka play a lot of one-on-one basketball, right? And so the opportunities are not always there. But Luka is one of the better passers in the league, and he'll get assists. He'll set you up. Derek Lively had 11 points, 13 rebounds, double-double last night. P.J. Washington had 13 points and 8 boards. So they've got guys that are in roles that are actually contributing, but you can't be getting 2 points on 1 of 2 from Derek Jones, one of your starters, and Gafford, again, he's just kind of a body out there that they need. He's not a guy that's going to score a lot of points anyway. He averaged 11 points in the regular season, but there's two guys that you really got to look at. And honestly, if I'm the Celtics, it's like, okay, well, get yours. We're going to take everybody else out. And that's the one thing that we talked about in this series with Boston is that, and listen, there's been, I got to be completely honest, there's been 2 series in a row where my gut and heart are like messing me up, because my gut says it's not a heart thing for the Celtics. It's just like a heart thing because I think the team that they're playing might actually give them something different and be able to win a couple games. I'm going to say the last 2 series, my gut told me I should take the Celtics in 5. But I took them in 6 in both just to give the benefit of the doubt to the teams that they were playing, right? And shouldn't have done that with the Pacers, obviously. Probably shouldn't have done that with the Mavericks, because really when you think about it, we spend so much time focusing on what if Kristaps Porzingis is playing or not, and how that could change, because Lively off the bench has been really good here in the postseason, and he's shown the ability to score. He averaged only just under 9 points a game, but he's an athletic big in the inside. Gafford is a fairly athletic big on the inside, so you felt like, okay, well, Al Horford can't play with those guys for the duration of a 7-game series. There's going to be some games where they're going to get some big plays from their big guys, right? And they're going to cause matchup problems for the Celtics if Porzingis isn't out there. Well, first of all, Porzingis was out there for the first 2 games, and I said it right away. If Kristaps Porzingis is playing in this series, the Celtics are a very heavy favorite. Like the matchup is perfect for them as long as they're knocking down their outside shots, which eventually they usually start doing. And so you felt like, hey, this is the Celtics series to lose, really, if Porzingis is playing. But then we got caught, and I got caught yesterday. And I think at the beginning of the game, you probably felt like you might have got caught too, as Dallas got out to the 25-12 lead. That, oh man, no Porzingis is going to be a problem for Boston. The thing about Boston, though, is, and this is what Wade talked about on Monday, and we've talked about throughout this series and throughout the playoffs here, is the Celtics are so good with one-on-one defense, man-to-man defense. Drew Holiday is obviously a big part of that. Jaylen Brown's not a terrible defender either. He's got hops where he can block shots if he needs to be. Derek White doesn't get enough credit for what he does defensively, I think, especially in the recovery and getting block shots at his size as well. I remember him doing that when he played with the Spurs. And probably, I think a lot of people didn't like his on-ball defense maybe, but still he was there. His recovery and his recovery time was quick. And, Derek White has been in – I'm going to tell you right now, if you ask Joe Mazzulla, the coach of the Celtics, where this team would be without Derek White. We talk about Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown all the time, Al Horford because, he's been a well-known name. Derek White played 42 minutes and made 4 3-pointers last night. This guy is playing a lot of minutes, and he's helping this team immensely. Sam Hauser hit 3 threes last night, too, in pretty critical situations for the Celtics. But I think we're overlooking, and I think a lot of people do overlook sometimes, those role players that are technically not necessarily completely role players. They're still starters on the team and can have big impacts. And Derek White has had a huge impact on the Celtics in this postseason. And last night he had 16 points. He didn't blow the world on fire or anything, or set the world on fire or anything with his point total last night. But 42 minutes he plays, and all those minutes are important. Jason Tatum, 42. Drew Holiday, 42. Derek White, 42. Jaylen Brown played 41. And Al Horford played 37. The most minutes off the bench was 14 for Hauser. And again, without Kristaps Porzingis, that means these starters have to play more minutes. That means they have to go harder for more minutes on defense. But they're doing it. And the biggest thing with this Celtics defense is they do not have to worry about double teaming. They can switch on most of the guards out front. If you're setting screen action for Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum's on him, well, Drew Holiday can switch right off and take Doncic right off that pick. And they can switch that defense. Tatum can now go with a little bit more height and go with the guy that's setting the screen to avoid a pick and roll and an easy bucket there. Sometimes that's going to break down. It does for every defense at any point in the game. But the Celtics are playing so well defensively that no matter who the opponent is, no matter who's playing on that team, what injuries they have, or whatever you want to say, they're dominant right now. The Celtics have won 10 straight playoff games. They are 15-2 in the NBA playoffs. Listen, I don't give a blank RA a rat's you-know-what who's playing for the other team right now. The Celtics were the best team in the NBA all season. They won 64 games. Okay? They were 64-18. The closest team in the Eastern Conference was 14 games behind them. The closest team in the Western Conference was 7 games behind them. Dallas was 14 games behind them at 50-32. The annoying part of the people that are on social media and talking about the Celtics might have had the easiest path to the NBA Finals ever. Okay, they played and beat who's in front of them. They're playing NBA players that made it to the playoffs. Maybe they don't have their full allotment of players, but like I pointed out the other day, the Detroit Pistons, the worst team in basketball, averaged 110 points a game this season. The worst team in basketball. They have no unbelievable superstars. They're working on it. Cade Cunningham, they're working on it. They averaged 110 points a game this year. The worst team in the NBA. The Boston Celtics are playing a Dallas Mavericks team that is the healthiest team that they've played in the playoffs to this date, for sure. The Dallas Mavericks in the regular season, they made a point to get better defensively, and they did that. They gave up 116 points a game, even though they made that point to get better defensively. They scored 118 points a game in the regular season. Again, postseason defenses play a little bit better. There's less possessions. There's less opportunities for you to do those kind of things. Playing against the team that's the most healthy that they've seen and that had to run a gauntlet and beat a lot of very, very, very good teams in the Western Conference to make it to the finals. The Dallas Mavericks have not scored 100 yet in this series. They averaged 118 points in the regular season. They have not scored 100 points in any game yet in this NBA Finals. Last night was the closest. They had 99. They had 98 in Game 2. They were held to just 89 points in Game 1. This is why the Celtics are the best team in the league right now and throughout this entire season, why they were 14 games better than anybody in the East, why they were 7 games better than anybody else in the entire NBA. They played defense, they hit timely three-pointers, they don't give up on shooting three-pointers, and then eventually those shots start going down. And they were 64-18 this year. And they were playing, teams that had injuries. The Heat didn't have Jimmy Butler. I get it. The Celtics were charmed in the postseason here that they didn't have to play some of those teams and some of their best players. The Cavs lost Donovan Mitchell with an injury. The Pacers lost Tyrese Halliburton with an injury there for the last couple games in that series where Boston, I was looking at Miami on the schedule here, where Boston was able to get the sweep over the Pacers, right? They won in 5 against the Heat. They won in 5 against the Cavs. They swept the Pacers. I understand that all those teams had injuries. What's Dallas's excuse? What is the excuse they're going to use to not give the Celtics credit here? Because the Celtics have won 10 straight games in the NBA playoffs. They were the best team in the NBA throughout the entire season. And people it was the same thing they did with the Nuggets last year about their road to the finals and the championship. Oh, they played the Lakers, who were the 7th seed. I think they were 7th seed. Whatever seed they were a low seed in the NBA or the Western Conference Finals. From the get-go last year, you knew that the Nuggets were the best team in the league, and they were the best team in the playoffs, and they've proved it. There is no question who the best team in the league was this year. It's not even close. It was the Celtics. I don't care who they're playing, what they're doing in this postseason. They have had a dominant run. They play the teams that are in front of them, and they have dominated every single one of those teams, including the Dallas Mavericks, who are healthy going into the postseason or to the NBA Finals. Had plenty of time to rest, by the way. Both teams did. Plenty of time. Celtics had more time to rest and had more time off and weren't as rusty as the Mavericks might have looked coming out in the NBA Finals in Game 1 in Boston last week. What I'm saying is, y'all can talk about all this you want, but the Celtics have proven it time and time again during this postseason that they are the best team in the NBA, and there's no question right now that they're the best team in the NBA. Kristaps Porzingis missed a lot of time. And he was a key component of the success that the Celtics had in the regular season. But like I said, other guys like Derek White are stepping up and providing more minutes and making things easier for their team to where they don't have to go as deep on their bench and do those things. The Celtics are in the driver's seat right now. History says you can give them the letter O because no team in the NBA playoff history, whether it be the playoffs or finals, has come back from a 3-0 deficit. There may be a first time for everything. Maybe it'll happen this year. The way this series is going against this team, which Boston is a team, Tatum and Brown and those guys, they've been close before. They just haven't gotten over the hump to win the championship. They've had some really, really good teams that didn't even make the finals. This is their moment and this is their time, and you can see it. Jason Tatum was zoned in last night after people said he struggled in the first 2 games, and offensively he did, but he still was providing and producing and getting assists and being a factor out there for Boston, whether he was scoring points or not. And Joe Mazzulla kind of commented on that earlier this week. So this is, without question, the best team in the NBA this year, and right now, they're leaving no doubt. The Celtics have won 10 straight games in the playoffs, and these 3 in the finals against a healthy Dallas Mavericks team. Game 4 will be on Friday night at 7:30 in Dallas. The Celtics can get a sweep, or Dallas can force a Game 5 in Boston coming up this weekend. We'll see how the Game 5 would be. If I'm looking right as they go back to Boston, it would be on Monday, I believe, if they need it. Yeah, it'd be Monday. Friday is the game in Dallas, Game 4. Game 5 would be Monday in Boston should the Mavericks extend this series and keep their season alive. Celtics are rolling right now. Sad news to pass along from the NBA yesterday morning. This happened right as I was leaving because I had a short sports ticket yesterday, an abbreviated one, again, to go say our final goodbyes to Randy Copes. And thoughts are with the Copes family still, and in prayers, and we're going to miss Randy for sure. So I left early yesterday and didn't get that information until I was kind of leaving and had already taken care of the sports ticket because it was a shorter version of it. So we'll talk about this today. NBA icon and Hall of Famer Jerry West passed away yesterday morning at the age of 86, as he was the first significant player in Los Angeles basketball history whose all-around skills, this is from the NBA, his all-around skills took him to the Hall of Fame. His success in basketball management made him the measurement for general managers as well. Jerry West was known by an honorable title that underlined his legend both on and off the court and in the front office, Mr. Clutch. And so the NBA is now missing a major contributor who helped shape the league. Again, West died at the age of 86 on Wednesday. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said in a statement, Jerry's 4 decades with the Lakers also included a successful stint as head coach and a remarkable run in the front office that cemented his reputation as one of the greatest executives in sports history. He helped build 8 championship teams during his tenure in the NBA, a legacy of achievement that mirrors his on-court excellence, and he will be enshrined in October into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame as a contributor, becoming the first person ever inducted as both a player and a contributor. Silver said, I valued my friendship with Jerry and the knowledge he shared with me over the many years about basketball and life. On behalf of the NBA, we send our deepest condolences to Jerry's wife, Karen, his family, and his many friends in the NBA community. That's from Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner. NBA life largely uninterrupted since 1960, as he was drafted second overall by the Lakers, a franchise that had just moved from Minneapolis to L.A., and then later was a general manager of the Lakers, Memphis Grizzlies, consultant for the Warriors and Clippers, one of the longest tenures in league history. Along the way, West collected 9 championship rings through his stellar work on the court and in the front office. Again, already in the Hall of Fame as a player and member of the 1960 U.S. Olympic team, he'll be enshrined for 3rd time later this year as a contributor, as we just said. He played 14 years and All-Star 14 times, made All-NBA a dozen times, averaged 27 points, just under 6 rebounds, 6.5 assists. Time of retirement in 1974, he was the franchise leader in scoring with 25,192, but that only defined his play on offense. He also considered one of the game's best defensive guards. NBA didn't recognize steals until his final season. He averaged 2.5 a game. All defensive teams weren't selected until 68-69, 5 years before he retired. He was named first team 4 times, second team once in the 5 years that he did have to be on an all-defensive team. He had 2 signature moments, sequentially came both in losing situations. He was named the first and only player on the losing team to earn MVP honors in the NBA Finals, and he had a 60-foot half-court heave in the 1970 Finals that was won by the Knicks. It's often cited as one of the most famous shots in league history. Jerry West was born May 28, 1938 in Cheyenne, West Virginia. His father, they said, was abusive toward him, and there was never really a close relationship with the son. And to escape the troubled household, he migrated to play basketball, often playing on an outdoor hoop alone in the snow and in the cold. Perfected a jump shot there in high school in the 50s, went on to to West Virginia University, where he played and quickly became elite in the college ranks. He broke his nose in a game once against Kentucky, then played the remainder of the contest while breathing through his mouth, refusing to leave for treatment. And throughout adulthood, he sported a nose that was never properly fixed. Again, he was stellar on the U.S. men's Olympic team in 1960 that won the gold in Rome, sharing captain honors with Oscar Robertson. This guy is an absolute legend. In the 1965 playoffs, he averaged 40.5 points. Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 69, he posted a triple-double, 42 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists, playing with a limp. They lost to the Celtics, but again, he was named the MVP of that 69 Finals despite the loss. He was on the NBA's 35th, 50th, and 75th anniversary teams, and again went on to win 5 championships in the 80s as a GM. And with West in the front office, he introduced excitement and style with their Showtime approach to winning and entertainment. Jerry West was there for all that Showtime. And he also returned for the Lakers and during the O'Neal Bryant dynasty that produced 3 straight titles with Shaquille and Kobe. Jerry West was outstanding in everything that he did. He was, again, the Memphis Grizzlies GM as well. Joined the Clippers and as a consultant and the Warriors at times. This guy was all over the NBA. And if you see that NBA logo, that's Jerry West's silhouette in that NBA logo. If you want to know about a guy that has had just an unreal impact on the NBA, and if you are an NBA fan, Jerry West, fingerprints are all over it, man. All over basketball, all over the NBA for sure. and the time that he spent in the association. Jerry West passed away at the age of 86 yesterday. You can read more about him at NBA.com. I read a lot because there is a lot, but there's much, much more to Jerry West, even past what I just mentioned as a player and a GM. So that's a loss that'll hit the NBA for sure. Jerry West, again, passing away at the age of 86 on Wednesday morning. All right, we wrap with a couple quick things here. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, the finals continue tonight, and much like the NBA, the home team won the first two games, which is the Florida Panthers, and now we head to Edmonton, where the Oilers will have their first home game in this series. Panthers have a 2-0 lead. 7 o'clock start time on ABC and ESPN Plus is when the puck drops tonight. Again, 7 o'clock, the Panthers and Oilers here tonight. And I don't know. I'm gonna pick Edmonton to win just for fun, just to get that home team the win. Can we have two series that are going on right now as far as championships and have the Eastern Conference team up 3-0 in both of them? I don't think anybody wants that, do they? Give me one of these series that'll be good, at least for some sports fans that like to watch both sports, to be able to see something play out and actually take place that's worth watching. I'm not saying the Celtics and Mavericks aren't worth watching, because I've actually watched all three games, and they've been good games. Well, the last two have been good games and close games, and it's just Boston's made the plays to win both of the last two and take that 3-0 series lead. So we'll see what happens in the NHL. Again, they're in Edmonton tonight at the Rogers Place. 7 o'clock puck drops on ABC. Panthers and Oilers, Florida, with a 2-0 lead in the series. And we wrap today with golf. As much as I'm not a hockey guy, I'm also not really a golf guy. People know that. But the majors are rolling on, and the U.S. Open is underway this morning at Pinehurst No. 2. Pinehurst, North Carolina is the site for this year's U.S. Open. And through 11, 10, and 8, Brooks Koepka is tied for first place here in round 1 through 11 at 3 under par. Ludvig Aberg of Sweden, I believe. Got that flag right. Let's see. I believe I do. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, he is 3 under par tied through 10 and tied through 8 at 3 under par. Mathieu Pavon of France. And we have a few Americans here actually tied for fourth. There are 4 Americans. Russell Henley, Patrick Cantley, Tony Finau, and Isaiah Salinda are all 2 under par. Tiger Woods is competing in this event. I got a snap from somebody that was excited just to see Tiger Woods toward the leaderboard at the start of this thing. Okay, he was through 2 or 3 holes. He's through 11 now, and he's 3 over par, tied for 52nd. And Scotty Scheffler, who would be the favorite because he is the best golfer in the world right now, he is not teed off yet. He tees off at 12:14 this afternoon. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on Scotty Scheffler. Again, the odds-on favorite to win. So do you take the favorite of the field? I'm going to go ahead and, even as dominant as Scotty Scheffler is, you still take the field. I'm not going to make a prediction of who I think will win. I just think it'll be not Scotty Scheffler. We'll just put it that way, right? The U.S. Open leaderboard can be found at a lot of different places. You can type in a Google search, U.S. Open scores. I'm sure you can find it on PGA.com. You can find it on ESPN's website. Again, the U.S. Open underway at Pinehurst in North Carolina. So that should wrap that up as far as golf. We do have news coming out here this morning. Rafael Nadal will skip Wimbledon in July to prepare for the Olympic Games in Paris, which will be played on the clay courts at Roland Garros. The Spaniard posted on social media this morning. Record 14-time winner of the French Open has been far from his best after returning from injuries. He exited the tournament at Roland Garros in the first round this year, lost his straight sets to eventual runner-up Alexander Zverev. It's not like it was an easy first-round match, some nobody that he played in the first round. A lot of times you see, Rafael Nadal got beat in the first round of the French Open. Oh no, he should have won. Well, he was playing the number, I think, 4 seed, whatever he was. Zverev has been in the top 10 in the world for quite some time now, and that was not a shameful loss when you're coming back from injuries. So Rafael Nadal, again, will skip Wimbledon this year. He missed almost all of 2023 with hip problems, and comeback was stalled by a muscle tear before minor injuries affected his preparation for the clay court major there at Roland Garros. But again, the Olympics are going to be in Paris. They'll be back at Roland Garros for the Olympics, and Rafael Nadal looking to redeem himself on clay in the Olympics. Again, will skip Wimbledon here in 2024. So That's the late breaking news here on the Sports Ticket on Kitty Country 94. That'll wrap it up for today. Tomorrow we'll see if who's in the top of the Stanley Cup. If the Oilers can get back in this thing, we'll see, right? And Royals, man, this afternoon at 1:10. Let's get some offense going early. Let's not get down 6-0 or 10-0 early in this game today, Royals. That's a wrap for today. Have a great day, everybody.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.